Could Cambridge University have done more? That's what we're going to be looking at in today's video. A vigil has been held today in Cambridge for the late Jason Arday. And of course, this story, well, it's not going away, and for good reason. There's many aspects of the story that are still unanswered. And to be absolutely honest with you, what I want to do in today's video, I want to break down how Jason Arday would have gotten to the position he did on the 14th of August 2026. But more importantly, I want to look at Cambridge University and ask the question, could they have done more? Before we get to that question and Cambridge University, I think there was 3 contributing factors that progressed, let's say, the tragic death of Jason Arday. So firstly, looking at Jason Arday himself, well, it was said that his life was full of lies, deceitfulness, and plagiarism. All of these things played a massive part in Jason Arday being able to progress in the way in which he did. Now, as mentioned previously, there are many claims playing for Crystal Palace as a professional, running 300 miles in 3 days, 600 miles in 6 days, 35 marathons in 36 days, 9 with a broken leg. There are many claims of Jason Arday. But I think, importantly, what he did in terms of the education system and how he was able to take advantage of that was ultimately, I feel, a detriment to himself. And then we've spoken about society, of which Cambridge University would essentially fit within that category of society. Society, likewise, Cambridge University have contributed massively, I feel, to the tragic death of Jason Arday. If anything, society have enabled his lies and they've pushed him, if not forced him, up that ladder. And then, of course, we've got the media. The media at the moment, people are saying, have played the biggest part. Now, we all know about the media. They chase stories and they will essentially hound anybody. And you've got to be fair and you've got to be honest. Whichever side you sit on, the media with this one, well, they've definitely hounded Jason Arday. People are saying it's been a lot more intense than it usually would be. And I've got to be honest, before the last couple of weeks, I didn't even personally know who Jason Arday was. But you've heard his name on the radio, you've seen his face on the TV, and he was all over the news. So the media have had a really good go at him, and they have intensely hounded him down. More specifically, regarding plagiarism around his education. And this for me is what I want to talk about in today's video. Could Cambridge University have done more to help save Jason Arday? Well, let's start right from the beginning in terms of his education. So Jason Arday completed his PhD, I think, at Liverpool University. And of course, that in itself came with issues because it was reported that during Jason Arday's PhD, he had plagiarized something like 20% of his coursework. And it was reported that that 20% of his plagiarized coursework belonged to another student. Also, as part of the PhD assessment, Liverpool University will complete a face-to-face assessment based on the PhD. Now, from reports, when you read about this, it was stipulated that Jason Arday had suffered memory loss before this assessment of his PhD, and so in turn, it was noted that Liverpool University had scrutinised his work a lot less than they would have if he hadn't suspectedly suffered this memory loss. So there's that initial element around the plagiarism of his PhD. And of course, the PhD formed part of his move to Cambridge University as the first ever youngest black professor. So here comes then the first aspect of, could Cambridge University, if not Liverpool University, have done more in this situation? Firstly, should Liverpool University have scrutinised its PhD work more? Should they have waited a period of time before completing this face-to-face assessment? Because of course, if somebody is telling you they've got memory loss, well, you're not going to assess them or challenge them the same as you would with a student that's telling you they don't have memory loss. So should he have been assessed differently? Should there have been a waiting period time until he may have got better? What I'm trying to say is, should the assessment have been done correctly? Because if he fails that and he doesn't get his PhD, well, ultimately, does he become a professor at Cambridge University? And then you've got Cambridge University. Should they have vetted Jason Arday more and done more due diligence around his accreditation of his PhD? Because it's said to be that when they found out there was potential plagiarism surrounding his PhD, well, they quickly opened up an investigation. But was it followed through? No. Was there a conclusion? No. In terms of the investigation around the plagiarism, well, of course, at this point, it would have been taking its toll on Jason Arday. Now, again, this is for you to say it's rightly or wrongly going to take its toll on Jason Arday, because essentially, as he causes himself by plagiarising his PhD work. Nevertheless, it brings us on to the next question in terms of Cambridge University. What support did they offer Jason Arday? And essentially, could they have done more to support him through those issues and investigations? Cambridge University were essentially Jason Arday's employers. And we all know what Jason Arday did. He resigned from his position. Now that tells me something important. Did he resign from his position because ultimately he was going to be terminated, meaning his contract of employment would have been closed with Cambridge University? So did he decide to step away and resign before that happened? Either way, I feel that these are really important questions to ask, because we can talk about the wrongdoings, the lies of Jason Arday. We can talk about the media and how they hounded him for weeks and months, and maybe they did push him to that point. But Cambridge University, in my opinion, formed part of that society aspect. I feel there could have been more due diligence around the PhD and the plagiarism. And not just that, I feel that the support they probably could have offered may and could have been better, meaning that through investigation, he'd have felt more supported. And again, Cambridge University, in my opinion, forming part of that society aspect, have enabled his behaviour. They've put him into the position, they've put him on a pedestal. Again, they've pushed him up that ladder. They've enabled his lies, and they've essentially placed him in a position where he has become a target, and essentially he's vulnerable. And what I feel is that they've placed him there, they've ran away, the doors have opened, and the media have bolted and started to attack. So again, I thought this was an important aspect to mention, because everybody's going after the media, and probably rightly so. But I think we've got to look at Cambridge University, and maybe people should be pushing for an investigation to lead their way. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about this?